Former U.S. Ambassador to Azerbaijan, Matthew Bryza. Thanks so much for being with us as always. You know, Armenia's revolution that led to the resignation of Serge Sarkisyan, you know, just a few years ago was so unexpected and so celebrated in Armenia. And here we are, just 2 years later, and these protesters are back on the streets demanding that he resign. What does Armenia want?
Yeah, it's really ironic that the peaceful protests that brought Pashinyan to power, and by the way, are Vladimir Putin's greatest fear in the post-Soviet space, are what threaten to topple him now. So I think Armenia doesn't have any idea of what it wants. It's going through now a really painful period of soul searching, of trying to comprehend how it suffered this greatest military and political defeat since 1915. I mean, since the end of World War I, or 1918. And so I think what's actually going on is that there is no clear Armenian desire, because Pashinyan is trying to save his political skin. I actually think he fought too long. He fought long after it was clear that the war was over and Azerbaijan had won. Yet the opposition, who in a craven way is attacking him because they want to get back into power, and they failed ever to negotiate in good faith over the last decade, they're threatening him now. So I think Armenia doesn't know what it wants, Andrea. And it's just, things are going to have to, the dust is going to have to settle. And I think that it's going to take some time.
And there are, you know, segments of the population who are very nationalistic, let's put it this way, and they're leading, you know, some of the movements, let's put it in Azerbaijan. I want you to talk about how big that nationalist movement is, and are they kind of demanding the impossible from their leaders, especially in terms of the land acquisition they would want?
Yeah, as always, Andrea, great question. It's totally unreasonable what they're asking for. So the most extreme nationalistic group that's, you know, of prominence is the Armenian Revolutionary Federation, or the Dashnaq Sütun. They have a branch in the United States called the Armenian National Committee of America. That is one of the most hateful organizations I've ever encountered. And in fact, that's the one that blocked successfully my nomination as confirmation as ambassador to Azerbaijan until President Obama found a way to overcome that. Their dream is Greater Armenia, which is a medieval construct, a medieval concept. There was a period where there was Armenian culture and a state that stretched all the way from Kilikia, you know, around Adana, through the South Caucasus into the Caspian Sea. That happened to be around 300 BC until the early medieval period. And so in my experience as the U.S. mediator of the Nagorno-Karabakh conflict, that organization, the Armenian Revolutionary Federation and its American entity, always opposed any compromise settlement because they didn't want peace. They wanted the conflict to continue until Armenia had a chance to regain these lands, not only in Turkey, by the way, but also in present-day Syria, Iran, and Iraq. It's impossible. And I think that they have helped to drive Pashinyan into a political corner that may mark the end of his political and possibly physical life. As we have seen, there's been at least one assassination attempt against him that was foiled.
That's fascinating. Matthew, I've got to bring it back to the here and now then, and we're watching, you know, the rehearsals underway in Baku to celebrate the reintegration of Nagorno-Karabakh. Will this process go smoothly, or do you expect Armenian militants and nationalists to reactivate?
I expect it to go relatively smoothly. And yes, Andrea, I do expect militants to activate, and there could be some, you know, relatively minor guerrilla warfare that could resume in Nagorno-Karabakh itself. But this agreement that was reached on November 9th or 10th, depending on which time zone you're in, signed on November 9th in Moscow, which was November 10th in Baku and Yerevan, it is a huge geopolitical achievement. And the reality is that, well, as President Putin said on November, I guess it was 17th, he said, if Armenia backs out of this agreement, that would be suicidal, politically and militarily suicidal, because Armenia has no military left. to wage any sort of serious armed conflict against Azerbaijan. So what's driving the Armenians crazy right now is somewhere subconsciously they know they've lost militarily and lost politically and have no way to flip this around anytime in the even distant foreseeable future.
Okay, Matthew Bryza, always great to talk to you. Thanks so much for spending time with us. We appreciate it.